Hi, everybody. Don C. Weber back here at the SANS ICS Summit here in Orlando. This time I'm joined by Sharon uh, Brizinov.
Yeah, that's correct.
Sharon Brizinov, yes. Sharon is a part of the vulnerability research team. He's the vulnerability research team lead over at Claroty. And during the summit, he is actually speaking about hunting Ethernet IP protocol stack. So, thanks for joining me and
Yeah,
sitting
thank you very
down.
much.
Awesome. And what we're trying to do is just kind of give a brief description of what your topic is. So if you can let everybody know what you're speaking about today.
Yeah, sure. So today I'm going to share a very nice story. So I'm a vulnerability research, right? So I do vulnerability research, obviously. And a few years ago, I was tasked to find vulnerabilities in a firmware, in a PLC firmware. So as I do always, I started to reverse engineer firmware, started to map the attack surface on the PLC, and I figured that Ethernet IP protocol would be one of the primary attack vectors that are lucrative for attackers. So I focused around there. And I found the vulnerability in the protocol stack, in the Ethernet IP protocol stack of this firmware. And I disclosed it to the vendor. We had a very positive experience with this vendor. They fixed it. And we thought this story is done. But as it turned out, the protocol stack they were using was commercial. So
Okay.
it means that other vendors in other product lines are using this commercial Ethernet IP protocol stack in their firmwares. So we really wanted to know who is affected. So what other vendors and what other platforms would be affected by our findings. And it was very difficult for us to answer this question because we could not get any information about what protocol stacks, commercial or open source, are being used in different firmwares and vendors.
So the software bill of materials, it was difficult to identify other vendors that were using that same stack?
Yeah, that's correct. So
Okay.
we had not been given this information, and we could not get our hands on this information of what protocol stacks are being used in different firmwares, products, and vendors. So we scratched our head really hard and came up with a solution.
Okay.
So what we actually did is we created a fingerprinter,
Okay.
Ethernet IP protocol stack fingerprinter,
Oh,
that could help us to identify what protocol stacks implementations are being used in other firmwares and products. So what we did is we developed this fingerprinter and started to scan different devices to see what other devices are using the same protocol stack, the same Ethernet IP protocol stack, just like the one we found the vulnerability inside.
excellent. So that kind of helps people understand. And actually, when you disclose vulnerabilities, now you can create a longer list of affected products. Would that be kind of accurate?
Yeah, that's 100% accurate. And it actually gives more power to asset owners
Hmm.
to scan their own network so they don't have to wait for, if, let's say, a vulnerability was discovered in a protocol stack, in our case, Ethernet IP. Asset owners don't need to wait for the vendors to come clean, come forward and say, okay, we're vulnerable too, because they can scan their own network and find themselves what protocol stacks are
Oh,
being used
okay.
in their network. Yeah,
Okay, so your scanner that you're going to kind of outline in more detail in your talk
right.
is basically something that they could leverage to identify these vulnerabilities in their products, even if it's not listed
Yeah,
in the CV.
yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
Well, great. I'm really looking forward to your talk. I like vulnerability research like this. It's extremely exciting to see that. So I can't wait till the video gets up online, which should be in a couple of weeks. So, are there any other key takeaways that you want people to understand from your talk?
Yeah, so I really think it's important for asset owners to understand what the visibility of their network, their OT network. So what devices they have on their network. These devices, what kind software bill of material do they contain? So what kind of third-party libraries are these firmwares contain? Because it's really hard these days to track vulnerabilities. You have vulnerabilities in third parties, you have vulnerabilities in software and firmwares, and to really cover all the different devices and cover all the vulnerabilities in your network, you first need to understand what devices and what firmwares are in your network.
Yes,
So
sir.
I think asset owners should focus more about visibility, and we're trying to help with that.
Excellent. Well, I really, like I said, really look forward to your talk. Can't wait till it's up on. Can you let people know where to find out more information about yourself and your team?
Yeah, sure. So we publish all of our research under our blog, Team 82 blog. It's under Claroty Research, and I'll be happy to receive some feedback.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time today, and have
Yeah,
a great conference.
thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.